What up, everybody? This is Kyle, and obviously you're watching Knockouts and Three Counts. You can find me as always at Detroit Knockout, Detroit NOKOUT. Make sure you're following the show at all the social medias at KO3C Pod on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the full backlog of all of our past episodes, including the one with NWA must-see television champion, the outlandish one, Zicky Dice, up on our YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Everywhere you find your podcast needs or video needs for that matter. Obviously, man, it's no secret. We're all not spending WrestleMania the way that we wanted to. I should be in Tampa right now with 80,000 people enjoying myself and my friends from all over the world. But obviously, right now, due to the circumstances, we can't do that right now. So I thought I would just hop on here real quick and give you my thoughts on WrestleMania Night 1. I'm not going to go through match by match down the card, but I'm going to talk about my highlights of the show. One of the ones that jumps out to me first would be the triple threat match that they had between John Morrison, Jimmy Uso, and Kofi Kingston. Obviously, you know, it was supposed to be a triple threat tag team match for the titles, and it's come out that The Miz had Corona. Obviously, I hope he's healed up from it. I hope that he'll be okay, and most importantly, I hope that, you know, he doesn't end up giving it to his wife and his two small children as well. With that being said, I think WWE made the best out of a shit situation. I think the match was very well done. Shout out to John Morrison, as, you know, obviously he's been wrestling everywhere, whether it be AAA, whether it be Impact Wrestling, whether it be Lucha Underground. You know, it's not like in the 9 years he's been gone from WWE that he hasn't been active. So I think that that's a testament to him to show that he can still go no matter the platform that the match is taking place on. That being said, I thought it was overall a good match. Obviously, this way, Miz and Morrison keep the titles. Let's see how that works out now that you've got the coronavirus in play and Miz having caught it. Overall, I mean, obviously, aesthetically, I think WWE did everything they could as far as how WrestleMania looked. I mean, with there not being able to be all the pyro and lighting effects, and obviously in the most important one, there being no crowd, I think it did take away from some of the atmosphere of WrestleMania, which, how could it not? That being said, I mean, I have to give them credit. There were a lot of things that were done very well. Quite honestly, the King Corbin Elias match it kind of was for me. And with the tag team titles, I just feel like because they haven't had a sustained women's tag team division, that the women's tag team titles have already kind of fallen by the wayside, sort of. So for me, man, it's kind of, it is what it is. So those two matches were kind of for me. Like I said, I'm just going to go through my personal highlights of the card. The next one for me that I thought was a great match, and I mean, how could you really not expect it to be with who was in there? For any of you that followed Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn's careers before they got to WWE, whether it be Sami Zayn as El Generico, rumored to be El Generico, in Ring of Honor and other places, and then you've got Daniel Bryan as Bryan Danielson, you know, in Dragon Gate and Evolve and Ring of Honor and all these places, man. I mean, they've had, you know, barn burners of matches. And the match between Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan that we saw at Elimination Chamber really kind of put another guy on the map, which is something that Daniel Bryan's become known for. So, I mean, obviously, with going into this match with Daniel Bryan, and then when you add Drew Gulak on the outside for Daniel, and then you've got Shinsuke and Cesaro, who both of which I feel like are being criminally underused right now. It was a great match. It was hard hitting. It was snug. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about on here is that the no sound lent for some cool sound effects in that you could hear more of the shots. especially in a match like this where it was very hard hitting. It made for a great match. Like I said, for me, it was definitely one of the standouts on night one. It was definitely a match that I enjoyed. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Feel free to tweet them out in the comments. And while we're talking about it, man, make sure you crack that subscribe button when you're watching this. You can check out our interviews with, like I said in the beginning here, with Zicky Dice. You can check out our interviews with DDP. You can check out our interview with Excalibur. You can check out our interview with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. I mean, dude, we've got a wide array, and that's not even in covering the MMA side of things. We've got the homie Miles Jury, former UFC fighter, Bellator fighter, all that good stuff. So after you're done watching this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and check out some of our other content. So Braun Strowman winning the world title. Obviously, we knew that it was supposed to be Braun, not supposed to be Braun in there with Goldberg. It was supposed to be Roman Reigns, but due to his battle with leukemia, Roman opted to back out and stay out of the match with Goldberg for health reasons, and I can't blame him at all. It sucks because, I do feel like Roman was kind of at the point where he finally was... it was finally a good time to put him back in the title picture because they've kind of kept him away from it for a while. So I wasn't mad at Roman being in that match. I really kind of feel like with the way things played out with The Fiend, it kind of backed WWE into a corner where, what were you going to do? If you would have done The Fiend versus Roman and Roman was the one to beat The Fiend, people would have shit all over that. And in the same hand, doing Goldberg versus Roman for the title, people weren't a fan of that. So I really kind of feel like no real way for them to do this in which it wasn't going to, have some sort of backlash. I think that Braun does deserve a crack at the title. Maybe not in the way it happened, but you know what? I'm glad to see that he's going to get a title reign. Hopefully it's not a quick one, especially with him being a big monster like that. I really hope that he can get a sustained title run and that it'll be able to kind of reinforce, his spot as a menacing, force to be reckoned with in WWE. Other than that, there's not really much to say about that match. Obviously, it was real quick. It was quick and to the point, which I don't think Goldberg, we're ever going to really see him having any more 20, 30-minute matches. So that kind of was what it was. The next match that really stood out to me was Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. On paper, this has got, all the makings to be a great match. But for me, it's... the way it started, I kind of was like, this is okay, it is what it is. And then you saw Seth come out with the bell shot. I'm like, really? That's about to be the ending that we're going to get to this after all this build up about, the Monday Night Messiah and the, all the back and forth with Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe and, them just all fighting amongst themselves. I thought that would have been a very anticlimactic ending to that. All in all, I think the way that they came back and then finished the match like that, I think the match turned out to be very good, which, with the two involved, again, it's not one that I'm surprised turned out to be good. I'm just glad that they came back to finish the match that way after he hit him with the bell, because to me, it added more to the match. Plus, you got the huge spot with Kevin Owens on the WrestleMania sign and flattening Seth Rollins through that table. It was, like I said, that was the highlight of that match. All in all, I thought that match turned out to be a good match, and I think them having the part at the end really saved that match. But I would say for me, by far, the star of night one for me would have been the Boneyard match. We saw the return of The Undertaker as the American Badass, which, obviously, I started watching wrestling probably when I was 6. So that would have been 97, 98-ish. So when I first started watching it, Undertaker was still in full dead man mode. And then as I grew up, he kind of went into the American Badass mode, which as a kid and being from Detroit, Kid Rock has been a favorite of mine for years, and I used to jam the American Badass CD just for that song on your old school compact CD player. So, I mean, for those of you that don't know what those are with, Apple Music and all that good stuff, go find one. So I was a huge fan of him coming back as the American Badass. I love the intro of him on the bike coming out to Metallica. Great choice of song with that. And again, not that it should be surprised, but AJ had a great performance in that. He had a great performance in trying to really illustrate the whole, the Undertaker's been around forever. The Undertaker is old and past his prime. But I thought that this match was really what it should have been. And I have really high hopes now for the Firefly Funhouse match, because if they did that with the Boneyard match, I think that they could really do some things with the Firefly Funhouse match with Bray and Cena. We'll have to tune in tonight and see what exactly they're going to do tonight with Night 2 of WrestleMania. That being said, and I just want to touch on this briefly in this video, I'll talk about it in the next video as well, which, like I said, make sure you're subscribed, because I'm going to come out with my review of Night 2. I was trying to get Kev and some of the other guys on here, but obviously, for obvious reasons, it's kind of hard to get everybody together right now with the whole quarantine thing. I thought the finish to the match was very well done, and again, I thought they did a good job of really illustrating Undertaker the man. Like, having AJ go so far into, kind of taking shots at Michelle McCool and the Undertaker's personal life. I liked how, there were spots in the match where when Undertaker had him mounted and is just dropping his shots down, he's talking about, don't mention my wife again, which is something as a man, we can all relate to. So I really thought they did a good job of doing that match. I thought it had more of a movie feel to it, but to me, it kind of reminded me of the rest his soul, the great Roddy Piper versus Goldust in the Backlot Brawl match from WrestleMania's past. I thought they did real well. I thought it was a 2020 version of that. So all those that are complaining, oh, it wasn't such a match, it's wrestling. Pro wrestling. They do shit like this all the time, and in my opinion, I thought this was really well done, especially considering we didn't know what the original plan would have been had we not gone into coronavirus and all that stuff. I think they had a decent choice of matches, because we didn't know going into this what matches were going to be on what day. So I think they did a good job of picking who was going to be on what night. I'm really still excited for Night 2, because there's still some great matches of ones that I was looking forward to see. Obviously, with, some of people's health issues and things like that, like as mentioned in the beginning of the video, The Miz had to drop out due to coronavirus. Andrade's got broken ribs, so he's out. And how it's opened doors for past guests of the show, Austin Theory, who will be going for it tonight with his new partner, Garza Jr., against the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team titles. It's opened doors for new guys, maybe not quite in the way that we might like to have seen it, but, there were some duds on the show, but at the same time, I think they made a good... Overall, I think they made the best and a good job out of a crap situation. Well, before I let you get out of here, I'm going to give you my predictions on what I think is going to happen for Night 2. First of all, I'm going to start with the match that I just mentioned in that past guest of the show, Austin Theory, which you can check the link right there in the corner and check out our interview with him before the Evolve 10th Anniversary Special, which aired on the WWE Network, had an appearance from Paul Heyman right before the match, where Austin Theory took on JD Drake on the WWE Network. We interviewed him right before he went there, and now he's went on to bigger, better things, gone to NXT. I mean, just saying, he was on Knockouts and 3 Counts right before that, but hey. In this match, I really don't think the Street Profits are going to lose this title. Even though I would like to see past guest of the show, Austin Theory, get a W. In this one, I don't know that we're going to see it, only because I feel like the Street Profits are more of a established tag team. And I think The Street Profits are more of an established tag team. I think the belts are probably going to stay with them. With some of the matches that are left on this card. Another one that actually, to be honest with you, has been one that they've put more time into. You've got Dolph Ziggler versus Otis. You saw the video, if you watched SmackDown on Friday, that they were kind of playing into that, even though Sonya Deville claims to be Mandy's friend and all that stuff, that she didn't really want her to be with Otis. I think after seeing that, I think Otis is going to get the big climactic W, and I could see, Mandy Rose getting her some of the dozer. So I'm gonna go wild card. I think Otis is gonna win. I think Otis is somehow gonna find a way, in some comedy way, to beat Dolph Ziggler. But I also think that this is a really good opportunity for them to, shed some of that comedy side and show the human side, and what happens when you feel wronged as a man. So hopefully this can bring a little more serious side to Otis out of this. We'll see what happens. The next match that I've got on here, you've got John Cena versus The Fiend. Now, when they first put this match together, I was kind of a little bit because it didn't really make sense, but I think they did a good job with talking about how to The Fiend, the belt, although it was important, it was a sacrifice. Like, beating Goldberg wasn't, The Fiend's end goal. Saying that losing was a sacrifice so that he could get to where he is now. And then them saying, my loss at WrestleMania 30 was the thing that, spawned all this, and then kind of going back into that and showing the match from WrestleMania 30. I think they did a good job with what they've had as far as Cena and The Fiend. I mean, I do think it was kind of thrown together, but with these two guys, I expect that this match could be really good. I hope that there's maybe some theatrics into this. I don't know how you do that, since this is going to be a regular normal match, but I really hope that we don't lose that aura of The Fiend in this match with John Cena. If I'm picking a winner, I'm going to go with The Fiend. I feel like the veteran John Cena is going to end up putting over The Fiend, but I could also see John Cena getting a win, because we don't know how many WrestleManias John Cena's got left. Feel free to comment in the comment section and let me know who it is that you think is going to win, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of them. Feel free to comment them. I make sure I look at them all. We'll definitely see what you thought, and I'll see what I can do to get all the predictions from the other hosts on the show, whether it be Tony Thunder, Kenny. I almost said Kenny Omega, Kevin Russ, Kyle Campbell, and Devin. We know is not watching it, so he won't be giving us his predictions. All right, and that brings us to the last few matches on this card. You've got one of the matches that I was most looking forward to seeing live. I remember like it was yesterday, watching Edge's retirement when he had his match against Del Rio at his last WrestleMania, and then had to come out and make his speech on Raw and had to retire. I was just as shocked as any, even though it was rumored that Edge was going to come back for the Royal Rumble. You always kind of hear that kind of stuff, and it was kind of just like, I'll believe it when I see it. But when he came back, man, if you were there, you should be there at our next pay-per-view party. Once this whole coronavirus thing is over, us and the boys from Breaking Down the Ring are bringing you the most fun that you can have for a wrestling pay-per-view. Our last party was for the Royal Rumble at Buffalo Wild Wings, downtown Detroit. We gave away title belts. We gave away tickets. We gave away signed 8x10s. We gave away t-shirts. We gave away all kinds of stuff. So make sure, again, you're checking out all of our social media so that you don't miss the next one once we're finally out of quarantine. So stay strong, stay safe, and then when you get out, come out and have some fun with your boys from Knockouts and 3 Counts and Breaking Down the Ring, and enjoy the next pay-per-view. When Edge came back, man, people were running around. Walt was standing up on tables. People truly went nuts for this thing with Edge. But then I have to give credit where credit is due. When they were doing the story leading up to this match with Edge and Randy Orton, they did a real good job of telling a story, making everybody think they were going to be cool, and then having Randy kind of snap back into that voices, IED, Randy Orton and showing that he's still the apex predator, to them having him take out Matt Hardy, even though I feel like they were jobbing out Matt Hardy on his way out to AEW. But hey, that's neither here nor there, and look where Matt's at now on Dynamite. To Beth Phoenix coming out and smacking the shit out of Randy Orton and hitting him with him hitting her with the RKO. I think they did a really good job of building this up. And Edge's promo that he cut on Raw, man, again, very much reminiscent to the promo that we saw from Undertaker regarding AJ talking about his wife, Michelle McCool, and all that. And then Edge, wanting to stick up for his wife, Beth Phoenix, Randy Orton, RKOing her on Raw. I think they did a real good job of just playing into that real nature of it, the real life emotions with it. That being said, I think with two guys like this who, Edge is already a Hall of Famer. We know Randy Orton is a surefire Hall of Famer. I feel like this match could be very, very good. I have high hopes for it. I really hope it goes well. This is definitely one of the matches I'm looking forward to seeing on night 2 of WrestleMania. For me, if I'm picking a winner, I gotta go with Edge. I find it hard to believe he's just going to come back and then put Randy over and then that be the end of Edge. I hope that we get a little sustained run out of Edge, but again, let's talk about that a little bit. For a guy like Edge, man, you finally make your triumphant return at WrestleMania, after 8 years, 8 or 9 years, and then to have this happen, man, it's got to be deflating, but I feel like with the pro that he is, the pro that Randy Orton is, I feel like this match is still going to be one of the best matches on that card. And then, last but not least, we've got our last 2 title matches. You've got Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the NXT World title. We're not calling it the women's title. Don't know why, but the NXT World title. I think this match could be really good. You've got 2 big, strong females, athletic females. I feel like you could have a great athletic match. I think the story that's going to be told here will be great. Again, I'm bummed for both people involved. I feel like Charlotte, going back to NXT. But more importantly, Rhea Ripley, man, she's getting to face Charlotte, who, let's face it. Hate on her, not like her, whatever you want. Charlotte is arguably, if not the best, one of the best female wrestlers of all time, period, already. And that I don't even think that that's arguable. So for Rhea Ripley to get an opportunity like this at WrestleMania of all places, I think, obviously this wouldn't be the way I would imagine she would have dreamed it. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a great match. If I'm picking between the two, for me, I think it's going to be... I'm going to go with Rhea Ripley. I think they need something shocking to come out of it, and I think that they were using this to make her another big star. I'm not saying that Charlotte can't still win this one, but if I'm picking one, I feel I'm going to go upset. I think Rhea Ripley is going to win this one. Last but not least, again, another guy who's been bit by the bug here with the coronavirus. And the circumstances attached with it would be Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, for those of you that don't know, check out his WWE Chronicle. It does a good job of, doing exactly what it says, chronicling his way back to the WWE. He really killed it at Impact. He killed it at ICW. He killed it at a bunch of different places, really rebuilt his name out on the indies and, reestablished his worth to be back where he is now and to be going in the main event against Brock Lesnar for the world title. Couldn't be a much bigger spot, and I think he's deserving of it. I think it's a legitimate spot. I think Drew McIntyre has every right to be in there. I don't know how long this is going to match is going to be. I would guess maybe probably about 20, 25 minutes or so. But I feel like it's going to be real smash mouth. It's going to be real hard hitting. It's going to be... They're going to beat the hell out of each other. But I have high hopes for this match, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people, when Brock first came back, were very critical of his willingness to put over other talent. But I mean, he's sold for guys who are much smaller than him, even in his match with, as we mentioned in the Boneyard match, AJ Styles. I mean, AJ Styles is obviously a lot smaller than Brock. I think he, like I said, man, I feel like that there's a lot they can do with this match. I think this match will be great, and I think if they play it right, I think that this match could truly be still a springboard for Drew. I just hope that they're able to sustain whatever stories that they've got coming out of this with the whole coronavirus thing. But there's still a lot to be excited for on night 2 of WrestleMania. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe when you're done watching this. Check out all the other great interviews there. Like I said, there's interviews with Zicky Dice, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You've got interviews with Excalibur. You've got interviews with MJF, Nyla Rose, DDP, Miles Jury from the UFC and Bellator. You've got a whole plethora of interviews for you to check out, plus some of the brightest local stars here in the Michigan area. We've got guys from Ring of Honor and everywhere in between. So make sure you check out some of this content. Spend some of your quarantine time with us at Knockouts and 3 Counts. And as always, all of you guys stay safe, follow the guidelines, and make sure you don't catch, like Cardi B said, the coronavirus. And be looking out for my review of Day 2 of WrestleMania coming at you tomorrow. Peace.